Morning. Welcome to the September meeting. My name is Kevin Sigworth. I'm the president of the Milwaukee Area Woodturners. If you could take your seats, we'll get the meeting started. Before we get into the announcements and then tonight's program, I'd like to introduce Valerie McMillan. Valerie is, I believe, the executive director of Nourish Milwaukee, who puts on the event that we know as Empty Bowls. And she is here to say a few words with us tonight about Empty Bowls. So, Valerie?
Hi, everybody. Thank you guys for having me tonight, and thank you for your support of our annual event, Empty Bowls. If you're unfamiliar with Empty Bowls, it's our annual fundraiser where folks can come and purchase handmade bowls made by artisans and ceramicists and wood turners, and we sell those bowls, and folks can also get soup samples from area restaurants at the same time. So it's in sort of an arts and food event, and there's live music, and it's a lot of fun. It's going to be on Sunday, October 5th at the Kern Center, which is on the MSOE campus in downtown. And so we invite anybody who has donated bowls. If you would like to come to the event as an attendee, we would absolutely love to have you. It is a Packers bye week. I will say that again. It is a Packers bye week. So your Sunday should be free. We're also looking for some volunteers for the event as well. So if anybody's interested in volunteering, we would love to have you. I put some flyers out over on the table over there. There's a few for the event, and then there's some smaller flyers that are just in general about our organization. Um, you can find our website on both of those flyers. And if you go onto our website, that's where you can sign up to volunteer. You can volunteer on the bowl floor and help sell those wood bowls. We actually found that we had a uh, passionate volunteer last year who happened to be the father of one of my staff members, and he was really excited about our table of wood bowls, and he sold the hell out of those things. So if you would like to join him and others at this event, that would be a lot of fun. But even if you just want to come and check out the bowls or get some soup, it's free to attend. The bowls are $30. And that comes with two soup tickets. So you get two soup samples with it. And if you want to eat more soup, it's two bucks for a ticket for more samples. And we have a lot of cool area restaurants that are involved in that. But yeah, we'd love to see you in attendance or as a volunteer. And then I just wanted to let you know where the proceeds for this go to our organization, Nourish MKE. We're the largest network of food pantries in the city of Milwaukee. And last year we provided nearly 60,000 people with a week's worth of groceries. So we have a big impact across the city. And we're always looking for volunteers in our food pantries too. So if that's something that you feel speaks to you, we'd love to have you come and visit and volunteer. We're always looking for folks also to host food drives. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get involved if this is something that calls to you the way that it does to a lot of the folks in our organization. We would love to have you. We always welcome new faces. But if anybody has any questions in advance of the event, you can connect to me through Emil or Kevin or Ron, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And yeah, unless anybody has anything here, I just want to thank you all for these few minutes. And yeah, is there anything else?
So there were some questions earlier. People are saying, what do I need to make? If I want to donate a bowl,
Mhm.
what are you looking for specifically?
We're looking for anything. We're looking for your unique take on what a bowl means to you. We do go through all of the bowls before we put them out, and some of the nicer, fancier, sometimes some people make something a little bit more extravagant. Sometimes we'll pull those and put those in our silent auction, which is a really nice opportunity as well. But yeah, I think we're looking for things that really speak to you as an artist. We really want you to express yourself in your work, and I don't think that there's anything in particular that we're looking for. You know, regular a sized type of dinner bowl is the type of thing that we would normally put out for sale. But then again, something larger or something that you've put a lot of extra effort into, or that's particularly unique, we do like to put those in our silent auction. Yeah. I think if there's a way to denote that if it's not food safe, because generally we do like to try and let folks know that the bowls are food safe. We do, when we had that volunteer at that table last year, he was really good at telling people not to put them in the microwave or dishwasher. But we get the same questions for our ceramic bowls and everything too. So food safe is generally yes, definitely something we're looking for. But if you do create something like larger or more decorative, and you want and you want to let us know if there's a way to put a post-it in that bowl or something, so when we do sort them, we know that we can identify them. That is helpful. It's a great question.
They wanted to donate something like that.
Mm.
I had to do it at that time because you have websites that you put the pictures on. This isn't all the this there, it's on the website for anybody. So if you're donating that kind of stuff, then for that silent auction. Don't just try to get it there way ahead of time that they can put it on the screen to get more good.
Yeah, if you have something that you've created that you know is something that would be something that we would want to put probably into our silent auction and not out at the $30 level, we can arrange to pick that up or something too. So if you connect with me with one of these guys here, we can try and get that from you in advance, and we will stage it and take a beautiful picture, and it'll go on our silent auction page, which will run and is open during that whole weekend. So that is very helpful. So Emil's asking about, so we've been talking about the idea as if we had a separate table for some higher valued items. And so we're still working out the logistics for that, but we're hoping that maybe we'll have a table that has some individually priced items, because there are definitely things that we would want to be able to capture the value of something that a lot more time and effort has gone into. So,
You put price on that you think you would get it before at a sale somewhere, you put the price on it. And try to sell it that way and get the tax benefit of it.
yeah, I think,
Like I said, it sounds good, but I'm not sure how to fill it out.
yeah, it ends up being, we have,
More money?
it's true. It's true. It's some of it's a matter of logistics if we do that. And we're also dealing with about 2,000 bowls that we're pushing through that day too. So trying to organize and keep all of that square. We're just trying to make sure that we can honor that and treat that the way that it needs to be treated. So we are still exploring that idea. And when we sort through the bowls in the days right before the event, if we do find, we will probably have a separate table that has some higher valued bowls that's outside of the silent auction. That was probably really getting into the weeds on the event logistics, but all right. Does anybody else have any questions? Well, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much for giving me this time here to talk tonight. I really appreciate it. And please know that the donation of your work is really going to support a good cause. And we're really grateful to have you in our Nourish MKE community. So thank you, Woodturners. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. So the flyers that Valerie brought are backed by Edwin, correct? Yes. Okay. And Emil or Ron, did you all want to add anything before we move off this topic? No?
The fellow that she was talking about the bowls, South Theater, you gotta turn it from the woodworking, so you know it's wood.
Okay.
And you gotta realize that 99% of nothing about wood, nothing about burden. So when he was able to tell them one time to move their cars and explain some stuff that was really,
Thank you.
really good. And well, I guess he's gonna be back for sure, but if somebody else wants to come down and volunteer and just
Okay.
talk to people, and it's always great.
Right. Well, great. And Ron will be delivering how many did you say about this year, Ron?
Yeah, the term predicted 275 goals. I think, well, yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay, somewhere around 275 bowls, which is awesome.
And I just want to know that are those bowls in that table for empty bowls or they're bowls for just for show and tell? I'm not sure. Just want to make sure because I'm gonna be there.
You all are forewarned.
Yeah.
Yes. If they're
With bowls, I don't see empty bowl. What is all for empty bowl? Okay, that's fine. I just want to make sure. But if you put something on there for show and tell, just move it on.
move it on. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And one thing, for the first time this year, Monkey Area Woodturners will actually be at the event. We will have our giant version of the banner there that Ron got for us. We'll have that up, and Tony and I will be turning. So we're gonna take one of the mini Raycon lathes, and we're going to be doing some demonstrating. And I believe there are also potters at your event as well, right? So we'll have to compete with the potters, but so it should be fun. Looking forward to it. All right, thank you. George, financial and membership report.
In our bank account, we have $12,301.44. Of that, 2450 is the income from the auction, and so that is for our youth program. So we can blow the 9,400 any way we want. I'm taking a trip soon, so we have 121 paid members, and just tonight somebody said, "Can I pay for next year?" And I said, "Yes, you can." So if you want, I haven't put anything out, and Tony hasn't put anything out in the newsletter, but we will start probably next month. I won't be at the next meeting, but November, December, we're really going to be pushing to get these 121 members renewed. 120 because one is already renewed. So look for that. It's $35 still. We haven't upped it, and I don't anticipate us upping it. 35 per person. If you have a family membership, and we do have some families, that's $50 for the family. So if you want to add more members in, okay. From the auction, I still have some receipts that I haven't gotten back to you. I know Jeff's not here. Mr. Fish, is Mr. Fish here? Okay, no. Brian Adams? No. And Leffelholtz. Brian Leffelholtz? No. Okay. Those are the only receipts that I still have that when you picked up your items that last time, I wasn't here one of the days, so I just made a receipt. If there's any questions about the treasury or anything like that, feel free to stop by our table and just ask me, and we're going to be as transparent as we can. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, George. Let's start with Ann, if you would like to talk about the opportunity to purchase a new t-shirt.
Okay, years ago, there was a Milwaukee Woodworker show, and that's kind of discontinued now. But in 2020, and probably even a couple of years before that, we had a booth set up. But in 2020, we decided, well, let's get T-shirts for everybody that's working at the booth, so we're a little more visible to everybody. And I had a batch of 22 T-shirts made back then, and there has been some requests for another batch of T-shirts being made for anybody that doesn't doesn't have one or would like one. They're very nice for going out and walking the dog late in the evening. Everybody can see you. They're good advertising for the club. And so I got some prices and I got a list here I'll pass around. For small, medium, large, and extra large, the t-shirts are $9. A 2X is $11 and a 3X is $12. So I don't know where you can buy a t-shirt any cheaper than that. So plus it's good for the club. So I know I'm not a very very good model for my t-shirt. I think Tony's a better model than I am for it. So. Okay.
You all don't cross things.
Okay, so we will have show and tell before the main event, the presentation well, it's not a demonstration, it's a presentation tonight. But also Dave is selling raffle tickets, and we have four $10 craft supply gift cards on the table, as well as numerous wood items. Anything else of note, Dave? Just a lot of wood.
This is. Oh, that's, I found those at a rummage sale. I use those when I'm finishing something. They're actually, I found out they're a pizza. They're all new, and so everybody just take the mills at the view, and it's great to look in your bottom, you're finishing something, right? Because you just now. Oh, okay.
All right, thank you.
That's a lot of this. Just up here, pizza.
Okay, I do have a couple of announcements. The program committee is hard at work on presenters for next year. We've got some professionals signed up. We have some club members signed up. I think it's going to be another good year. Good learning opportunities. There is one thing where we've had a request and we don't have someone available to do that, and that has to do with carbide tools. So if you use carbide tools and you think you could do a demonstration next month, talk to one of us on the committee. You can talk to myself or Tony or Jim is here, and
Next year,
I'm sorry, did I say next month?
Who's more of me?
That's why we keep Tony around. Keep me straight. Next month, next year. I did it again. Next year. Yeah, carbide tools. So we're looking for somebody to demonstrate that. We thought we had someone from Easy Wood Tools, but that didn't work out. That was going to be sponsored by them, but we'd prefer to have a member demonstrate that as opposed to it being a sales pitch from a manufacturer. So we're looking for that. We're also looking for, now that we have completed the auction and we have the funds, we will begin work on putting together our youth turning program. So again, the objective is to introduce young people to wood turning. The intention is to use the funds to buy equipment and tools and let them use it, safety equipment, use our lathes. We'll have events here. That's about as far as we've gotten. We've got a lot of flushing out to do. So what I'm asking is if anybody is so moved to get involved with youth events or promoting youth turning, we're looking for somebody to step forward and agree to lead that effort. We already have some volunteers that said they would serve on the committee or the team, but I'm looking for somebody to step up and say, yeah, that speaks to me. I would like to figure that out for the club and lead it. I did just today saw 2 forms that other clubs use to have the parents sign off that it's okay for their children to engage in this dangerous activity. So we have that part covered, but we do need somebody to lead the rest of it. So let me know if that is of interest to you. You can do it right now if you want to raise your hand, or you can talk to me later. Okay, I guess it's later. The empty bowls we talked about. Wood raffle we talked about. We're gonna have show and tell. Tony, did you want to say anything to wrap up the auction?
No, do you want to bring some of this stuff over to Wood Raffle?
Yeah, Jay, did you bring some over there, Jay? He's grabbed a couple pieces and
It's hard, and that will be in time.
yeah, no. So we have some of the wood, some of this wood that was left that's on the shelves was donated by John Thompson's widow. You know, many of you know John Thompson was a member for a long time, passed away 4 months ago approximately. And so that wood was donated, and the plan is not to have another auction, but to put another raffle table over the next number of months. Milwaukee area, or yeah, Woodturner. So public demonstrations. So many of you know that a couple of our members, Greg is the only one that's here. Greg, Mary Schwaller, Randy Filling, demonstrated at German Fest, which was in July. Had one of our big banners there. We're handing out flyers, cards, etc. The next event for us, well, it will actually be Empty Bowl. So that will be Tony and myself. But Folk Fair is coming up. Ron, did you want to say a few words about Folk Fair, or do you want me to just?
Well, yeah, the folk fair is the weekend before. Well, it's the weekend of your happy.
November 21st to 23rd.
I think it's the Thursday evening to Sunday, and we are going to get I believe a fairly large one.
Correct.
And so it should be enough to put hopefully maybe the two icons, but we need demonstrators. They actually want us to demonstrate. They're sort of adamant about that. And we can also sell things. So if you have items you want to sell, they are more than happy to allow us to sell anything you want without a cut.
Correct.
They just get a fee for and it's not a gosh, that's sort of a modest fee for us having that space. And it'd be incredible promotion for the more public in the public arena as opposed to the woodworking show, which was strictly focused on wood oriented, people who are interested in wood turning or woodworking. And it's a big event. I haven't been there for a long time. It should be all new to me too, but it's tens of thousands of people coming to the show. So it's really crowded. And I'm going to be putting together a list like I've done for the woodworker show in the past, of volunteers. The hours are longer. I think it starts at about 9 or 10 in the morning. It goes until 9 in the evening. So you don't have to work the full day, but working 3 hours isn't going to really do it for us. We really need people who want to work happy and hopefully demonstrate. You don't have to demonstrate spectacular stuff. You can turn a little pile stuff or whatever, tiny little bowl. It doesn't matter. That would be nice too. And if you want to sell stuff, we can. We just have to figure out. We have to figure out how we're going to do purchases because we don't have a square. Whatever that's called, square program. So we'll figure something out.
Right. Yeah. If you're going to sell, you probably like what Randy did is he just went to the event with $200 in cash in his pocket, and so he had change, and whatever if he had $400 at the end of the day, knew he sold 200. If you
feeling that most people in today's world just charge.
Yeah. So you're gonna have to
going to want that
the square.
November
21st, 22nd, 23rd. So setup is on a Thursday. The event is a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
We also need volunteers just like for the woodworking show to load up all stuff out there and then tear down and raise things cash. We're going to stay there hard.
It's inside in November, so it's don't have to worry about the weather.
And they will give us 3 tickets to whoever here to go to the event, like not parking. So you have to pay for parking. You want to ask me why? Still like this. I think you guys are here again. I'm going to be putting one together and you should see it very shortly because it's going to go out to Tony to dump on email, so people can sign it that way.
All right.
And I'll also have a sheet here for the next October and the November.
Okay. Yep. And if you want to sell, like at German Fest, they took 15% of whatever you sold. Here, we're going to pay $150 for the union electrical connection. And that's good for the 3 days, but that's all. We're just basically covering their cost for the electrical. And we have like 4 big banquet tables. So you can display your work, you can sell your work, you can demonstrate. Just work with Ron to, I think he said 2.
That's what I got, too small.
Yep. Okay. There'll be more information coming on that. But that's a good opportunity to get Milwaukee area woodturners out. I believe she told me at one point how many people. I think it was like 50 or 60,000 people over the weekend. It's a lot. So it's great. Next meeting, October 6th, Mark Trenier is going to demonstrate turning a nativity scene. And if you've seen Mark demo before, it will be entertaining. I believe that is it. Oh, yes. Thank you. I was supposed to announce that and I forgot. So, what was your name? I'm sorry. Bill Bueller brought in a box of catalogs from Mark Adams Woodworking School. They're up here on the show and tell table. I can vouch for the Mark Adams. I took a class there a number of years ago. It was an awesome experience. So help yourself to those. Anything else, Bill? No. Oh, okay, great. Great. Did you want to say anything about the open workshop day, Tony?
Yeah, one scheduled for this coming Saturday. I'll get an email out.
Okay. I believe that's it. Let's do show and tell. And it would help us be organized. I guess if whoever is, we just go in order. Whoever's closest, bring your item up and let's go in that order.
Like 30 pieces of wood. If you're from the auction, and I couldn't figure out what the heck they were. You go for the ironwood. It's a little heavy and dense.
Yeah.
You thought I'd come in, it's fast. Now, or if I cut that stuff and then end up missing all the teeth and it gets outside or whatever.
A Maryland or something.
And I think they were blacks that never touch black face in their head.
You're looking.
That's well, it's pretty soon. You need to. Sure, it's very complicated. Whatever, it's nothing else. It's something time.
So I don't remember when I was in some red bud. And this is 2 halves of the same log. And they were both turned wet. This one I turned wet and allowed to dry and then sanded it out. And it has some really nice form to it. I like it. And then this natural edge. They've both been buffed on the outside. That's walnut oil that's been buffed. And that's Watco Danish oil, but I haven't got it out to the shop to buff the insides yet. And you all know I do acorn boxes. This is just a little different take on an acorn box, a little different shape. Not that happy with it, but hey, I did it, so I'm showing it.
Somebody said, why such a big vase? Well, big guy. Neighbor brought me some red cedar, a couple of logs. And so I thought, well, make something to set on the floor. The wife can put some weeds or whatever she wants in it. So another dust collector. But the wood was kind of wet. And so usually when I turn something on a lathe and it's wet, as I'm turning, if I don't finish it, I'll cover it with a plastic bag, in between turning, or I'll spray it with lacquer, anything to slow down the drying. So on this here, what I did was I pretty much soaked it in uh, uh, not mineral oil. Uh, what? Yeah. And it worked. There was cracks, and after about 3 months, I left it in a bag, just open a little bit on top. The damn cracks closed up, and I never did anything to them. So it dried slow enough that that linseed oil worked, mineral oil, and and then I carved a little bit on the side here to add a little bit, and I a lot of times I'll do a rosette or something on the bottom of a bowl, or so I did it here too, in case somebody turns it over and looks at it. So, but uh, my shop smelled really good for quite a while. Every time I walked in, oh my God, it was nice. So that was fun doing, but what amazed me is that the cracks, they literally closed up. They dried, closed up, and you can't see them. And I never did a damn thing to it. So no, I set it in a little pan, and I literally I put it on it, yeah, and till it ran off. I did that a couple of times. Poured some inside. I hollowed it. It's 15 inches deep, and instead of hollowing it out to this shape, I thought the hell with it because it just it's going to set on the floor. There was no need to make the sides any thinner. So I figure what the wife sticks in here is good enough. But it was nice to do, and like I say, the shop really smelled good. And then I ended up used wax, and I finished it with that Renaissance wax. It's so nothing special, and I like rather a satin finish rather than a real glossy finish. So anyway, that's it. So
You use a Forstner bit inside or did you want the side 15 inch with a turning boom?
yeah, I think I started out with a Forstner bit for a while, but I made a deal for myself. I used a boring bar from a metal lathe in a sleeve, so I can run. It's in a sleeve, and I can go in a foot, and it turns. I am able to maneuver it around, and then I got a big heavy turning. What the heck? I forget. It's a carbide tip. It's got to be 3/4 inch wide, and it's got a long, heavy handle. So I went in further with that, and then at that point, I decided that's enough. So no reason to go further. So, but that was fun to do. I do, a lot of guys do segmented bowls and so on. I like to put a chunk of wood on, regardless what it looks like, and then see what I end up with. That's what I enjoy doing. So sometimes you got cracks you got to fill, sometimes not. So, all right. Thank you.
So I think last time Ron had brought a beads of courage that had some gears and whatnot in the bottom. And I'm kind of a fan of the steampunk aesthetic. So I had this bowl, I turned it a while ago, and I had done a thing here that I was really unhappy with. And it just kind of sat there, and it was a pretty enough piece of cherry that I didn't want to trash it. So I thought, oh, so I ordered a bag of gears from Amazon and just, hollowed the first unsuccessful thing that I had done. Just carved that out, painted it black, and just piled gears in there until I liked what I saw. And I didn't fill it with resin because I actually like the sort of tactile experience of actually touching the gears. So there's about 3 pounds of super glue holding all these gears together. But that was a pretty nice save. And then so the thing about having Sally here, she stayed with me, was that I had this whole workbench full of abandoned projects. Or she was generous. She said they're not abandoned, they're just waiting for inspiration. Which turned out to be true in some cases, although some of them are being abandoned into a fire pit. But I did finish the 3 things I have today are 3 finished or reclaimed sort of projects that she kind of encouraged me to get back to. So this was one of them. This was I turned this piece of walnut into this sort of shape, and it just sat there. Got some chainsaw oil on it. It was just really being abused. But anyway, I finished it, it finished beautifully. And I turned one of her, lid styles that she, and found this little, I don't know what it is, some kind of pod to make a finial for it. So it turned out to be a pretty little piece. So it's another reclamation. And this one, I had turned this thing, right? This whatever it was. And I knew that I wanted like a face emerging from it. But I can't carve. I mean, if I tried to carve a face, it would look like a smiley face. I have no talent that way. So I was kind of waiting for a face to present itself to me. And I was at American Science and Surplus. And you just never know, right? And they had a whole shelf of these little faces. Unfortunately, all the same face. If they had a bunch of different faces, I would have bought all of them, but it was all the same face. So I got a face and came back and kind of fit him in there. And this around here is milliput. I don't know if you guys know milliput. It's a 2-part putty. There's lots of different kinds of 2-part putties, but I like that one because it's a product of Wales. And there are so few things that are products of Wales. And my ancestry is Welsh, so I feel obligated to buy milliput. But it works really well. It's really nice. You can sand it, turn it, it's great stuff. But anyways, I did this, turned the little hat, had this piece of wood just sort of sitting around, fit him in there. And yeah, he's cute. I like him. I had to turn his little hat. Yeah.
That funny you were just talking about. What's how much time you have to work with? What's the sitting time?
It's probably open for, malleable for maybe 30, 45 minutes, I would say. And you can sand it in about 3 hours. I would wait maybe overnight to turn it. But my lathe, just before I started doing the hat, got stuck in reverse. And it's on a tabletop. And so I just turned the entire lathe around. So I had the headstock on my right and the tailstock on my left. And I finished this little hat. And that was one of the most awkward experiences of my life. You don't realize how much of what you do is just muscle memory until you really have to start thinking about what you're doing. And then you just make a mess. So this hat was it took me 3 tries to get the hat because but anyway, it was fun to lay this fixed. Now it's all good. But anyway, I really like the way he turned out. He's cute. So if you've got a bench full of, products or things, projects waiting for inspiration, just, don't give up on them. Something will come to you.
Couple of pieces of wood from the auction. So we've turned them into something already. This was a piece of ash and elk defects in it, and actually turned out to be pretty nice. And it's my first attempt to have a thinner bowl, not thin bowls like Tony and me do for their things, but it's thinner for me. So this was one of the ones from the auction. And then, like me, I was inspired by Sally and her lids and things. So this was a piece of cherry that we got at the auction, and I used a piece of maple, and I did a hand-carved handle, so it was a little more organic, which is inspired by her instead of just doing standard knobs and things. The one thing I was discouraged with is my first one I thought was a little too small, and I tried to work on it and it just kept getting worse and worse. So I finally took it off and I built a new one, put it in, and I didn't like the way that looked. It was too, um, I guess, it didn't fit with what was there. It wasn't organic. So I used another piece of walnut that I had a little small tap that I mounted in. And when I was done with that, I was disappointed, but I haven't time to redo it. I think it would look much better, and I'll get everybody's opinion, if I'd have put a piece of walnut in here, turned it down so it was flush with the maple, and then inserted the handle. So it's always a work in progress with the things. But again, this is one of the pieces from the auction. Then that's it. Thank you.
Do you want to just say that you and Art have the library with them, so that people know not just.
Art and I are taking care of the library since John is passed on to the big library in the sky. So it's open, and so during the break or afterwards, we'll be there for a few minutes. You can check out any of the pieces that we have. We have most of it out, but there's some more in the cabinet. So if you saw something that you look through the cabinet and see it, you can pull that out as long as it's got a card in it, and we'll be able to take care of you. And it'll be due in a month. So at the next meeting, you could bring it back. And if you don't, that's okay, because I've been going through the cards and there's some things that are 2 years old that still haven't made it back. So 30 days is sort of a suggestion. Okay, thank you.
Okay, brought an assortment, too many things in here tonight. All of this has to do with the gentleman who brings me wood, a local tree trimmer. He brings me wood all the time and unique pieces. And I realized, I never give him anything, so I better turn some things to give to him. So he knows this is all for him, but I told him I have to hold on to it to bring it and show it. This is a rendition of what he looks like. Got his chainsaw and his rope, and he wears a hard hat. I guess it's not, not quite like that, but he brought me 6 maple burls, and I only have a MIDI lathe, and so I have to save a few of them till I get a bigger lathe. But I got into the first one, and it looked terrible when I started, but I was going to try to do a natural edge, but it was so solid and so sound that I ended up getting a nice bowl out of it. And so that'll go to him. And then this was just a piece of box elder I've had out in my shed for a while that he brought me some flame box elder about 5 years ago. And I'm going to bring some pieces of this and put it on the table. We'll dig some of that out. It didn't look like anything until I got into it, and it still had really nice color to it. Then one day he came by with a piece of buckthorn. It was about 4 feet tall, just an old piece of buckthorn. He goes, "Here's a piece of wood for you to turn," and just as a joke. And I threw it in a pile in the shop. And then one day I was looking online and I saw Rita Duxbury does the lighthouses. I don't know if you've ever seen her work. Very amazing work. And they're similar to these, but they're a lot nicer what she does. But she does them always with leaves kind of a natural spot. And the piece of buckthorn had just the right type of things. And so this is my attempt at lighthouses. And this was the way the piece of wood, from smaller to bigger. And turning the lighthouses, I realized lighthouses don't have finials on them. If you look at a picture of a lighthouse, they're really very simple. But anyway, so that was my attempt at copying her work. It's an old piece of that.
Didn't make it, but if you haven't used one, tried one, these things are so simple to use. This and easy to make. If you're a welder or know a welder, pretty simple to make. This would be like a mid-sized boring bar. So you would make a little, I didn't bring the other end. But you would make just like a board here, maybe like this tall, and then this would sit on top of that board right here, and there would be another board on top, so it would be captured. Okay, and then this rests on the tool rest, and you can just hollow away something deep like Jim's there. You know, this could easily handle that, and it's almost a fingertip to use. It's just a scraper end. It's just a 3/16. I have it at the same angle as my scraper. Real easy to sharpen on your grinder. But they are so easy to use, and you can literally, and I'm not even kidding, your eyes can be closed really, and you can be inside there 5 inches, and you're going to kind of feel the edge, and you're just fingertip getting it as good as you want. And there's also an attachment here where a laser comes down and points, straight down here. So you can kind of set the laser beam like 1/4 of an inch from the tip. And when the laser falls off the edge of your item, then you know it's 1/4 of an inch thick. So you could hollow, something with an inside that you can just get the tip in and get it like perfect all the way down the same thickness. So these things are real handy. This happens to be a Lyle Jameson version. To buy, kind of expensive, maybe like 3 something maybe. I ended up getting this when I got my lathe, but I mean, easy to make. I've got a couple of friends that have made them, and probably for like $20 or $30, you could make one of these. Really easy to use. There's a set screw right here. This bar is separate. We've got another hook tool, curved, actually 2 different sizes. So you can, really sneak around and kind of get in real close to the lip. Maybe 5, 6 years ago, maybe a guy from Neenah maybe was down here. A Jacobson, does that sound familiar to anybody? John Jacobs or he was here maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Gave a Saturday demo, and then there was like a was it what the technical was maybe?
He's from Neenah.
Could have been. Anyway, he made these.
Yeah.
So it's the same version, a little mini version. This I have set up so I actually do it in reverse and do the other side. But this is kind of like the same concept where it just rests here, and it's just another real easy way to get inside of things. And he made these. He was selling them for like. Is that what it was?
I think you can get both pieces for 80. I bought one.
Yeah. You ever use it?
Oh, yeah, great.
It's crazy simple.
Yeah.
Crazy simple. So it's just another way of hollowing things. And I'll use this like all the time, even like sometimes on bowls. It's what you can do. It's just say like, be very careful. Something like this. Okay. I could sneak the tailstock in here. It'd have to be a little wider than this, but as long as this slides past the tailstock, I can have perfect support. So even like when I do those really huge things, I can have it, this big sticking out. I'll have a curved tool rest in there, and I'll have my tailstock slammed in there with another spacer in between. So I'll have tailstock support. Plus I can, nibble away with the boring bar. So they're really slick. And like I say, if you know somebody that welds or you weld, it's a really easy, simple way of doing it. So, and safe. I'm seriously, it is. You can not even like look, but you can just kind of feel after you do it a little bit. So keep it in mind. Something like ours.
Well, Ken is making his way up here. Jim has agreed to do a program next year on those hollowing tools and perhaps how to make them. And Ray is also going to do his demo of the birds that he brought in earlier this year. So those are a couple of demos for next year. Ken.
Well, I make a lot of these little lidded boxes. This is a, a Claro walnut, and it's a thin wall. It's about 3/16 of an inch thick. I mean, I like to make real thin wall little boxes like this. And then at Sally Alt's demo, I finally finished a bowl that I started, and it's walnut. It's a lot thicker wall than I normally, like to make, but I figured, well, I'll try it and see what how this works out. And I kind of like the design. It's a design I guess I would never have thought of before. And then she said, make a contrasting piece of wood for the lid. And I had back in I think it was 1992 or something. I was up in Ashland, and there was a fellow up there in the early 1980s that was a skin diver, and he was always looking for shipwrecks throughout the world. He was looking for gold and everything. And the ship, when he was in the bay over there by Ashland looking for shipwrecks, he got so discouraged because there were so many logs that were floating they're laying in the bottom that were in his way, and he just called them nuisance logs. And finally, after a while, he took a closer look at them, and it was all old growth lumber that was sawed during the 1820s. And they say in around 1820, northern Wisconsin rebuilt from the Chicago fire. All the lumber from northern Wisconsin went to rebuild Chicago. And I got a little piece of the cover here that I made, and you can see the real close grain on it. And I ended up buying a few pieces that he had. His company is out of business now, or he's on to doing other things, but there's still 2 or 3 sawmills up there, or I say, reclaiming the underwater wood that they're pulling up from the bottom of Lake Superior. And the one thing I questioning is a lot of you fellows are real good at identifying wood, and maybe you could take a look at this and tell me what it is. I think it might be cherry. I don't know, but there were so many varieties of wood that he ended up getting from the bottom of the lake that it was hard to tell what was what without the bark on it. So, okay, that's all I have.
One more. Okay.
So my dad went up north, and he's cleaning out a bunch of trails and stuff that we deer hunt stuff up there. And there was some cherry and stuff, and I was like, go grab some wood from around the area, because I've been looking for different stuff to turn besides ash and walnut and stuff like that. And I originally wanted the edge on it, then just a little bit of the top came off, and I was like, oh, really? So then I just turned a little bit off of it so I'd have a little bit of flatness on there. Then turned out pretty good. And then I was making some stuff for the Sheboygan County Fair, and I had this chunk in the mulberry that some just laying around, and I had kind of took it into this little chunk that was kind of squared up and all that. And I threw it on there, and I was like, oh, why don't I make an ornament? Because I had signed up for this ornaments and other things like that. And then when I got to the bottom, I was like, really, I don't have length. I just had like about that big of a chunk, and I had in the chuck. And then I found this little bit of spalting, but most of it turned out of this black walnut chunk that I had on there. But that's all I had for today.
Anyone else for show and tell tonight? Okay, well, let's move on to tonight's program. So tonight's program, Selling Your Work. So this is George's idea, and George recruited Ron Zadroik, Tony Rosendahl, and myself. So we're going to do a panel We're each going to do 15, 20 minutes about selling our work. So that's the plan. At some point, we'll take a break somewhere probably about 7:45, maybe a 10, 15-minute break. But to begin with, Ron is going to go first. So I will turn it over to Ron.
Good evening. I guess I'm going to be talking about art galleries, art shows, and art stores, which are so. First of all, now I don't do art shows anymore, but I used to do a lot of them. And art shows are what you would think of as the Milwaukee Lakefront Show, Festival of the Arts, and you know, there's a number of art shows. They're all over the place, and they always have sort of high quality artists from around the country. Some some local, but usually around the country. Um, and it doesn't take anything special to get into an art show. All you need is to have your work juried. So typically there's a charge for the jurying fee, which is about 35 to 50 bucks. And you provide high resolution, high quality photos to the jurors. They look it over and they let you know whether or not you're in the art show. It's that simple. Uh, if they say no, you lose your 35 to 50 bucks. It's part of doing the business. And if you do get in, an art show, depending on where it is and location and how big it is, they can be anywhere from 75 to 100 artists to 200 or 300 artists. There's a monstrously huge show in Madison every year, Art in the Square. Getting into an art show is expensive. This is not something you would think, I'm going to put in $25 items here. You're not going to do that in an art show. You're going to have higher end items at almost any art show. The fee could be anywhere from $100 to $1,000 to get into a show. It can be rather expensive. But if you have the pieces that sell, you're selling them for a lot more money. Typically, you sell them for a lot of money. And when I was in art shows, I would sell things from $75 up to $800. So they kind of bounced all over the place, depending on what I was making and how involved it was, how artistic it was. So that's art shows. I haven't been doing that for a while because it's just too much work for me. Art shows are a lot of work. It's not any different from a craft show. You get up, you load everything into your vehicle, you haul it off to the show, you set it up, and whether it's usually they're outside shows, you got to have a tent, and you sit around for 1 day or 2 days, and hopefully you sell. And then at the end of it, you got to pack everything up and put it all away again. It winds up being about a 12-hour day. It's a lot of work. But if that's something you like to do, and I did it for maybe 10 or more years, and not as a living at all, because I had a full-time job. I just did it as a sideline. And, some shows you do wonderfully. You can make several $1,000s. Some shows you make $100. You don't even break. You don't even clear your expenses. That's just part of doing business in the art show area. Art stores and art galleries. I've had my pieces in a number of different galleries. Right now, I have pieces at a gallery up in Door County, and I used to have just until like within the last month or so, pieces up in a gallery in Bayfield. But I've had them all over the place. And galleries are, or an art store. I think the difference of a gallery to an art store is that an art store would have a lot more artists in it. Galleries tend to be a little bit more localized or focused on, let's say, a dozen or 20 artists as opposed to a ton of other artists. And getting into either one of those is, again, you wind up giving the owner of the gallery or the curator, typically it's the owners who are the curators of these galleries and stores. You provide pictures of your items. If they like them, you just make a whole bunch and you haul them up to wherever. Like every year I take a drive up to Door County and I drop off the pieces that she has selected. I will make, because I've been working with this one gallery for a number of years, she kind of knows what I make, and she doesn't mind me changing subject matter ever so often to a different design. She likes them. She would select maybe 10 to 20 pieces, and you kind of agree on prices. She knows her customers, in Door County, higher end customers typically. And so, she has pieces in her gallery that go from $50 to $10,000. They're all over the place. So inexpensive stuff, outrageously expensive things. My things tend to be more on the lower side, not the $10,000 ones. The downside of a gallery or an art store is their commission. And it's typically high. It can be as low as 30% or as high as 60%. That's how much they take. And, normally it's about 50. And you say 50%, they take, if you sold something for $800, you only make $400. So you have to realize that before you start, doing pieces and you realize, wait a minute, I'm only making what, $4 an hour or something. You got to kind of put that into your head and figure out how much effort do I want to put into pieces and how much I want to sell them for. And if they're really spectacular pieces, now some of my pieces are pretty cool looking, and they go for $200, $300, $400. Sometimes, and sometimes she sells all of them. Sometimes she sells very little. It's, but the economy makes a big difference. Things going on in the world make a difference to people. Vacationing makes a difference. You go to Door County, you spend money up in Door County. That's just a fact of life. Lake Geneva, Bayfield, a number of other places that I used to be in a couple galleries off and on in town too. The downside, another downside besides the commission, that's something you work out with the owner and the curator, is that galleries are kind of dying. Brick and mortar galleries, and these people have to make a living. That's how they make a living, by taking that commission from that sale. And they have the building, they have the clients driving up to their places, coming to them. I don't have that. All I have is this little shop in my basement that I crank stuff out at. But they have that, and that's why galleries make those types of charges for their commissions. But brick and mortar places are fading. People are buying things online, which you guys will be talking about a little bit later. And I understand, some of the lower to middle sized pieces. I can understand why people would buy those online. I don't understand why someone would want to buy a, $2,000, artistic turned bowl. But, but I'd want to touch it and look at it and feel it and pick it up. But that's just the way things are today. And maybe I'm just old fashioned that way. So that about covers it. There are other types of galleries. There's a co-op gallery. I've never been involved in a co-op gallery. Those are galleries that are put together by a co-op of number of artists, woodturners, whoever, and they get together and they actually manage and run the gallery, and they volunteer their time at the gallery. And the cut is typically on those galleries are much lower. Maybe only 30% goes, so the artist keeps 70, and then 30% goes to it's almost sort of a nonprofit kind of situation where these people combine together and try to make a gallery work. So that's galleries, art stores, and art shows. So any questions? Fine. Otherwise, yes.
So with regards to the art show versus the craft fairs, I would think that if you're considering selling your stuff, you're going to want to go and scope some of that stuff out and kind of see what it's like.
Yeah, right.
I think there's a distinct difference. You go
Big difference. Yes.
compared to a craft fair, and sometimes they get mixed up in how we know our culture.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. But there definitely is a distinct difference, and you're right. Go to a show, and before you even try to apply to one, walk around the show and look at wood items. Not necessarily. I mean, there's not going to be a lot of wood turners. You may be lucky if you see two wood turners in a big show, but there's going to be woodworkers. And look around and check out it. And if it's more of a craft show, you're going to see the difference. It's going to be less expensive, and the pieces are going to be maybe utilitarian, or they're just going to be really nice, but they're not high-end art, let's say, where a wood turner could make a lot more money. Anyway, so I guess I'm done.
Okay, so I drew the assignment. I guess I wanted to do this because I thought there might be interest in it. And I'm doing art fairs versus craft fairs. And just like you said, you have to make a distinction between the two. I consider myself an artist, and I would consider most of you guys artists because I've seen what you've done. You don't want to be in a craft fair. A craft fair is if somebody comes in and they've got crocheted pot holders, and you don't want them right next to you because they're going to sell their item for $3 and you've got $100 item right next to that. Well, the people that come to that, they're going to say $100, $3. I can buy 30 of those $3 items and give them away as presents. So I'm looking for trying to get to the art fairs or art shows as opposed to the craft fairs. So you have to be sure that you've made a distinction what they are. And just like Ron said, go to the fair, go to the show that's there if you can, to see what the type of items are that are being sold. You don't have to go the first year. A lot of times these shows are once a year or twice a year as fundraisers, and you can see kind of what's out there. You have cost. The costs that are going to be involved. Is this a 1-day or a 2-day thing? So if it's 2 days, you're going to be tied up for 2 days or 3 days. Here's going to be a fee for participating because the sponsor is going to want to get some of that money. You don't have to pay a commission, but they're going to want to make some money on it also, and that's their sponsorship. But they're also putting out the information about the show that's going to bring people in. Sometimes what they'll also do to make money is they'll rent you a table or they'll sell you electricity so that, when your display, they'll rent you 2 tables or 1 table for $25. Now, most of the shows that I've been at, I usually bring my own tables, and I'll take 2 6-foot tables and a 2-foot table 2x4. And so I've got about a 14-foot front, maybe a 12-foot front, depending on where I'm at. And I find that that's more than enough. You're also probably going to have to pay. You're probably also going to have to donate an item. They come around, they ask you for an item for their silent auction. So, well, it's a way to get rid of a piece that hasn't sold in past years. That's the way I look at it. So I'll send one of those pieces out. Taxes. Some people collect taxes. Some people, the government wants its share. I don't pay taxes. My son taught me that one because he never paid taxes when I bought him something. So I kind of took that back. And so far, I only do like 2 or 3 shows a year. So what I make is not worth. The way I look at it, it's not worth their while. Now, I don't want to be blackmailed, Kevin, but that's the way I feel about it. Travel. Are you going to go someplace? If you're going to travel and this is a 2-day show, you're going to have other expenses. You got to figure that into what you're selling. how are you going to collect your sales? How are you going to collect your sales? Well, I started out doing cash and check, but like Ron said, nobody uses cash or check unless you're buying drugs. Then you can say, then it's just basically cash. But if you're going to have Venmo, PayPal, I use Square, but all of them are going to take a certain percentage, and they'll give you a report, and they're also going to send that report into to the government. So, you know, you guys get yours sent into the government. I know Square sends it in for me. So I'll have most of my sales will come through on Square. So the government said, well, you've had $600 in sales for this year. Where's our share? All right, well, tell me about it. Okay. So another thing that you should do, that you should have that's up front, is do you have a business card? Do you have a business card? These are going to cost you, 50, 60, 75 bucks for about 250. I think that's what I paid last time. But I had some items, you know, pictures that are on there. I started out stealing something, because then I have pictures put on my information. So this is mine. Those cards are great. People come by, they'll pick up a card. I have made after show sales that add to my total sales just because I had a business card. So it's a good idea to have something like that. So those are your costs that are going to be involved, you know, that you're going to spend a little bit of money on. Then comes your display. And I'm very lucky. My wife likes to put my stuff together. She thinks she does a good job. I sometimes thinks it's too cluttered, but since she's doing it, I think it's great. But balance, and make sure that there's symmetry there. Put your bowls in one place. Have another little section for your pens. Have an item. What I'll do is I will have on my table, I'll have a big bin, and I'll put the bin on a corner, and then I'll have another bin that I brought all my items in, and that's on the other corner. And I'm stacking these bins up so that the piece that I want to sell, my primary one is at eye level, and it's going to be right at the corner. So when somebody's coming up, they can see that. I went to the Polis Center about 3 years ago. This was one of my, what I call my signature pieces. And I said, I want to sell that. I had that on the corner. First person came up to it, saw it, said, how much is it? I said, $100, because that's what I would sell this piece for. He says, I'm buying it. Some lady came up the next year, or I was at Grant Park, and she saw it, and I had two of them. She bought both of them at $100 a piece. So you can do really well with certain types of pieces. And I always make a signature piece, and these are my main signature pieces. This one, thank you. Jim taught me how to do this, and I really appreciate it because it's really helped my sales. And this is another one of my signature pieces. And that's why I consider myself an artist, because these to me look really good. This one I started making, it was 3 layers higher, and I'm doing my finishing cut just to smooth everything out. And all of a sudden it went boom, it blew up. The top 3 layers just came right off. So that's why it's shorter. But still, it was a hell of a lot of work. Is all of this little segmented stuff. I've got veneers in here and small pieces, and because it's smaller, I think I want to sell this one for 60. But anyway, Um, so how are you how are you going to how are you going to display it? Are you going to be inside or outside? If you're going to be inside, no problem. If you're going to be outside, you're going to need a canopy. Canopy is going to protect you from the rain, from the heat. And do you need electricity? If you have your table, are you going to have a skirt? And on your skirt, are you going to have a banner that tells them who you are? Now, I just have skirts around mine just so that it doesn't look like a plain table. We want to dress it up a little bit. And you also want to cover the table with like a tablecloth or a bed sheet or something, just so it looks neater. I told you about the shelving. Like I said, I use bins that I transported in. Okay, advertising. Advertising is on social media. The organization will a lot of times have their own website and they'll do the advertising on that. My wife always puts me out on Facebook because I do not have a Facebook account. Says we're going to be at Grant Park or going to be at the Polish Center or something like that. You want that advertising out there so that your friends and family can come out and they can buy stuff from you. Because otherwise you're always giving it to them, right? Another thing that we found that was kind of nice, have a candy dish. You know, you've turned a bowl, put something in it. And it doesn't have to be just gonna be like a Lifesaver mint. And kids love it. They come by, and when they come by, their parents come by and they're looking at your stuff. So we always have like a little mint dish. And the other thing that I'll have is I've turned tops, 3-piece tops, and I'll have another bowl that's out there, and I'll let the kids play with the tops in the bowls. And they say, how much is it? Well, I sell my tops for $15. Not much. I probably break even on that. You're never gonna, first of all, you are never going to make as much as you think you should make with anything. But it's not bad. I mean, it's still money coming in. So have a variety of product, high ends, like this is 100, this is 100. I think this one's also 100 because of the amount of work. So I'll usually sell my stuff. This is my high-end stuff. I do have something a little bit bigger. It's a 24-piece ring segmented bowl, and it's got 10 or 12 rings on it. So it stands about that high, and I'll sell that for 150. But it's just because that's what I feel I put into it for the amount of work, the amount of work that I put into it. It's going to be worth that much. But you could have lower end products like my tops. I had styluses, keychains, but nobody buys those anymore. I have pens. Some of my pens I'll sell for the executive type pens is what I try to go to, and I'll sell those at $50 a piece. With your pens, when you're selling a pen, always have a refill cartridge with it. Give them a refilled cartridge. They'll be happy. I found, because I've had people call me, they'll talk the card and they'll say, hey, I don't have any ink. All right, well, I'll mail you one or I'll bring it over because it's usually local. And they'll remember that. And they are the people that are going to come back. I've had one woman that's come back. She buys pens 3 years in a row now at Christmas time so she can give them out. And those are like the $50 pens. Are you willing to make deals? Are you willing to make deals? I'm not. I did it once and I came out of that show and I felt so bad. I don't know about you guys. Will you make a deal?
No,
No, you're an artist.
I would not make a deal.
Yeah. And I felt really bad about doing it. And I'm gonna get this, because that's what she's going to. It was a craft fair, and that's why I did make that deal at that craft fair, but um, she was like at a rummage sale. She was thinking it was a rummage sale, and you don't want that. You're an artist. You've made something that's really pleasing to look at.
Yeah, you don't walk into your favorite microbrewery and buy a beer for $6. I'll give you 3 for it.
Yeah,
Bartender has to say no.
yeah, right.
Or go to a store and buy a refrigerator and it's $1,000 refrigerator, it's all at 700. They're gonna say, oh, right. $1,000.
Right. Yeah. So, okay. Go to other shows in the area to see what's out there. You know, just don't go to the one that you're going to be in. Take a look on Etsy. Go to the internet. See what the value of your item is worth, and you can make your prices, base your prices off of that. I'm probably, you know, I've had friends and relatives saying, "You're not charging enough for this." Probably not. Probably not. But I don't know if theft is a problem. I mean, I'm right there. I haven't worried about theft at a show. I suppose that it could occur, but I don't know. Have you had any experience with that?
With
Theft, somebody stealing at a show? No.
I know it happens.
Yeah. But anyway, it can occur.
Especially for small.
Small pieces.
Or if you have a display on 30 pens.
Yeah.
Within one gone.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's hard to walk out with a large bowl.
Yeah.
You got to run faster than 8 crowd. So I guess
the last few years that I've probably been doing sales for about 5 or 6 years now. And right after COVID, people had money burning holes in their pocket. They wanted to buy something that was homemade. And so I did a couple of shows and I made over $800 in each show. This is great. Well, the same show that I made $800 2 or 3 years ago, I made $350 this year. So like you said, you can have good days, you can have not so good days. You want to change your product, to bring new stuff out. But it's up to the whim of the buyer. If successful, you want to go back. If you're successful in that show, you want to go back. Now, I've been invited to shows because people will come around from other shows and they'll take a look at your product and they're going to say, I have a show coming up and we'd like you to be a participant in it. Well, the first question that you're going to have to answer, is this an art show or is this a craft show? Those are the first question that I ask, because I want to go to art shows because the clientele is going to be better and you're going to make more money. So if you've got all this stuff laying around your house, you made all this stuff, you've given away as much stuff as you can to your relatives and family. Do you want to try and sell something? Well, an art show or an art fair is one of the ways to go. And I found that that's okay for me. I want to hear what these guys say about selling online. So anyway, that's all I got. Any questions, JC?
Yes, I don't know if you mentioned it before that you're taking credit cards to Square.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rough idea, what's the cost?
It's a certain amount per item, and then it usually comes out to about 3.5%, something about that.
How much did the Square want?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what it was. About $50 or something.
The account,
Yeah.
The reader is $50. You do not have to have a reader.
No, you could- I basically my reader doesn't work as well as I want it to do, so I'm still typing names in on my phone. And that's all I need. I got the account, but there's still a 3.5% fee for that. Yeah. Any other questions? I have no experience with Venmo or PayPal. I do have a PayPal account for me to pay somebody else, but I just don't like my bank numbers being out there. That's my personal feeling. Anybody else? Yeah.
You ever worried about, like, I don't want to say bastardizing the other industry? I mean, rest of the wood turners out there. So if you're selling stuff for $50 and technically it should have a value of 75 or whatever. You ever worry that you're causing or creating turmoil for students?
I haven't thought about that. Usually at the shows that I've been at, I'm the only wood turner that's there. My competition would be Etsy or online or some other art gallery or something like that. I just haven't seen that many wood turners. Anybody else? Okay, thank you. So, if you guys want to buy these, they're for sale. But you probably could turn just as well.
All right. Thanks, George and Ron. So it is, let's say it's almost 8 o'clock. Let's take a break until 8:10, and then we will come back. We have Tony and myself presenting on selling on an online marketplace, which is Etsy and Go Imagine. So buy raffle tickets and be back in 10 minutes. Thank you. Get started. Take your seats, please. We'll get started again. Tony, you're up.
Thought I was batting, please.
Oh, I can go if you want.
Nah, it's all right. I'll let you go till 2. Do you have my PowerPoint ready?
Sure thing. Want to start up, Roy?
Yeah, let's just go ahead and. Yes, I think. That's Kevin's PowerPoint. So.
Well, do you want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I'll go. We're flexible here. So Tony and I are both going to talk about selling on an online marketplace called Etsy. So Tony had the idea that we should put presentations together so that we don't talk about the same things and repeat ourselves. So that's why we have presentations. So I'm going to talk about selling your work online, mostly through Etsy, but there's also an online marketplace you may not have heard of called Go Imagine. And I've also been trying to sell there. Everybody knows what Etsy is, and Etsy's heyday, as George mentioned, was during COVID. People were selling crazy amounts of stuff, and they thought that would go on forever. And unfortunately, the sales on Etsy have kind of come back to earth. Etsy's a public corporation at this point, so their stock's not doing real great right now because their sales are down. But Go Imagine is trying to do something similar, an online marketplace, but they're really totally focused on handmade, whereas Etsy lets you sell vintage, lets you sell supplies, and lots of people try to sneak things onto Etsy that are not handmade. And if Etsy figures that out, they will cancel you, take you out. But Go Imagine's really focused on, has to be handmade. And the other unique thing about them is that they donate all of their corporate profits to children's charities. So I decided to give Go Imagine a go. And I sold something like in the first week that I was on, and I've sold nothing since. But Etsy's a much bigger marketplace. So if you could go to the next slide, Greg. The interesting thing about Etsy is I sold a bowl to Mrs. Etsy. So I did. Yeah. No, if you know the history of Etsy, which I did not know until she started communicating with me, it was started by a young man named Rob Callahan. I think it was Boston. It's on the East Coast, and he was a maker and doing kind of a co-op maker thing, and had this idea. He was also technology literate and created Etsy, and he ran it for a number of years, and at some point, it became so successful that the corporate board threw him out, got rid of him because they wanted to go in a different direction. And now it's owned by stockholders, so they answer to Wall Street. So those are my shop sites: K Sigworth, Woodworks, woodworks.etsy.com, and then goimagine.com/K Sigworth, woodworks.com. So or slash. So you can go to them directly if you know that, but most people are going to find you by searching for something they're looking to buy. I've been selling on Etsy. It's not quite 3.5 years, but almost. I've made 111 sales and it's almost $7,400 on Etsy. And then go imagine one sale and $70. And the interesting thing is you'll find that most of your sales are going to go to the coast when you're selling. I only sell in the United States. You choose where you want to sell. If you want to sell internationally, you can. You just need to be prepared to ship to Germany or Europe or China or wherever. I've just decided that since most of the market is in the United States, I've limited my sales to the US. And yeah, let's go to the next slide. So the interesting thing, and this was brought up before, I think Ron said he wouldn't buy something that cost $2,000 unless he could touch it and pick it up. And that's the interesting thing about selling on an online marketplace is that people are not buying your item, they're buying a photograph. That's all they have is pictures and a description. So you need to be able to take good photographs if you're going to do this. And so I have just a couple of quick suggestions. If you were here when Dennis Clayton from the Madison Club presented, I believe it was 2 years ago, on photography. That was an excellent session, very well done. He was a professional photographer, so everything that he said was great, but you can make it fairly simple. So all I have is 2 LED lights that you can buy on Amazon. I just shoot them through some white fabric, so there's not so much glare. Nice clean background, so just a white piece of background material that you can buy. You can buy cloth, all different kinds. A tripod is a must, and a digital camera. It doesn't have to be a great digital camera. I just have a little point and shoot. A lot of people use their phones to take these photos. So it's more about the light than the camera. But what you will need is to be able to edit what you shoot, because the online marketplaces have requirements. So they're going to say your image can only be 1 megabyte or less, can't be bigger. So you're going to have to be able to reduce the size of your shots. Most digital cameras are going to take a 3 to 10, megabyte photograph, and you need to reduce that. They're going to give you a size. They say can only be 2,000 pixels wide, and then whatever the pixels are for the format that they specify. So Etsy says they want a 5:4 format, but they also turn around and sometimes take your stuff and make it square. So you kind of have to plan for that when you crop your picture, that, well, what's going to happen if they turn this into a square? Is it going to cut part of my product out? So these are things that you will learn. Editing software is a requirement, but I found that both on Windows and on Mac, there are free editing software suites that come with the operating system, and I've used them both, and I think they're both terrific. If you want something more sophisticated than that, then you can buy something like, Lightroom and Photoshop, right? They're going to cost you a bunch of money, or you're going to have to pay $15 a month for a subscription, but you can get by. There are also free photo editors, especially if you shoot with your phone. There's like Snapseed, and there's a whole bunch of them that are really have a lot of capability. So you don't necessarily have to go out and buy Photoshop. Yeah, and you're gonna have to resize. So the next one, Greg. So that your clients are buying a photograph. So you need to take good photographs from a lot of different angles, all this all around. I try to shoot the inside, the bottom, try to get all four kind of quadrants of a bowl, if you will. Just yes, question. Yes, okay. Yeah. So they do Etsy recommends that you include videos. So I bought a little turntable. It was like $12 or whatever. It's about this size and it just rotates around and I put a bowl on there and I take a 10-second video and I upload that. Some people will, if it's depending on what your item is, they'll, if it's a piece of jewelry, they'll be modeling it or something like that. So videos are good. The other thing, Etsy encourages free shipping. So you need to build that into your price. Yeah.
Is there limitations on the video size of the stuff kind of pictures?
Yeah, there probably is, but I try to generally shoot about a 10-second video, which turns out to be about 100 megabytes. So it's big. Whereas for Etsy, you can upload, I believe it's 10 photos, maybe it's 12, and each one is less than a meg. The reason they want it less than a meg is as people are flipping through images, they want them to load quickly. And if your images are more than a meg, it's going to slow down. Whereas a video, they're probably going to watch. There probably is a limit. I just don't recall what it is. But you get a lot of information from Etsy if you set up a shop. So the other thing you're going to have to learn besides photography is SEO, which is search engine optimization. So that's how people find your stuff because they go to Etsy and either they just start kind of scrolling through it, but more than likely they're going to be looking for something specific and they're going to put it into the search bar and say, I'm looking for a white oak bowl, or I'm looking for a handmade bowl, or a bowl that's 10 inches in diameter, something. They're going to have something specific. So you put all of the descriptive things that you can think of, and they're limited to like 22 characters, but you get 10 or 12 of them, and you just fill in these spaces for your item, and you say, it's a white oak bowl, it's a food safe bowl, it's a decorative bowl, it's just describe your item, what you think people are going to search on. And you can do that, on your own, whatever you think, but you can also buy tools to help you. There are tools like eRank, Marmalade, and there are probably others. These two with Marmalade, you can get a 30-day free trial. With eRank, which is the one that I use, you can get a free version. So I use eRank, but I have the free version. I don't pay anything for it. So it's limited. You can only do so many searches a month or a day, I believe it is. And you don't get all of the detailed information that they would give you on all of your competitors. You can look up your competitors, and with this tool, you can see all of their SEO descriptions and you can steal them. So you can track their sales. You can do all kinds of things. I don't do that because I just have the free version, but I just want to be able to go to this tool and I start out, I say wood bowl, and then it will tell me, well, here's all the other things that are synonyms or similar things that people would search for a wood bowl. And then you can use those descriptions. And then it will tell you, this is how many searches this term gets, like handmade bowl. Well, that gets 1,000 searches a month in the United States. It has this kind of a click-through rate. This is what your Etsy competition is. It'll tell you how many competitors you're going to compete against. So a lot of good information there as you're putting your storefront together. Okay, next slide, Greg. So driving traffic to your storefront. When I first started, I talked to both Tony and Ron because they had been selling their work and got some suggestions and ideas. But you got to get people to your site to go look at it. There are millions of sellers on Etsy that you're competing with to sell your stuff. There are, I believe, over 80,000 wood bowls. If you search for wood bowl, 80,000. There's going to be 20 per page. if you're not on the first couple of pages, you're probably not going to be seen unless somebody's really looking for something specific. So you're going to need to get good with SEO. And ideally, you'd like to use social media, which I don't like. I don't do any social media. But if you want to drive traffic to your site, that is probably the most important way to do it. So you're going to put things on Pinterest, on Facebook, on Instagram, whatever all the other ones are. And hopefully something that people find interesting and valuable and like, oh, that's cool. And it drives them to your site so that they buy something. I don't do any of that. I just say, you know what, if I don't sell, I'm not trying to make a living at this. So if I sell one bowl a month, so be it. I'm not going to get into social media just to sell 2 bowls a month. But maybe you would like to do that. It's up to you. And then friends and family. That was Ron's suggestion when I first started, because nobody's going to go to a site with 0 sales and buy something. It's like 0 sales. What? No reviews, nothing. So you talk to your friends and family, and I have people that I was just shocked. They go, "Yeah, we want to support you in your new business venture, and we're going to buy a bowl from you." And lo and behold, you start to get some sales, you get some reviews, and then somebody that finds your site goes, "Oh, somebody else bought something and they liked it, so it seems safe." So that was a good suggestion from Ron. Next. So Etsy as a marketplace to sell. I'm going to do pros and cons. So the pros, I mean, worldwide reach. If you're going to buy something somebody's going to buy something handmade, they're likely going to go to Etsy. I believe Amazon has something called Amazon Handmade too, but I'm not familiar with it. Worldwide reach, if you want it. I think the fees are quite reasonable. Not everybody agrees with me on this, but it's just 20 cents to put a listing up there, and that's good for 4 months. So it renews every 4 months. So even if you don't sell something for a couple of years, it's costing you a couple of bucks to leave it there. It's not much. If you sell something, they take 6.5%, and then you have to pay the credit card fee. So you pay the 3% plus 25 cents processing fee. So I figure between the cost to ship, because I do free shipping, and the fees, I'm keeping about 80% of what I price something at, which I find reasonable compared to a gallery at 50%. You get to keep the inventory in house, so I don't have to drive anywhere to deliver it or to go pick it up when it doesn't sell. And I don't have to worry about the gallery going bankrupt and, I might not get my stuff back because I have all my stuff until I ship it. You ship through UPS or FedEx or UPS. The Postal Service will do pickups. So you can put your item out and you can schedule it and they'll pick it up. So you don't even have to drive to the post office if you don't want to. You get paid very fast. I get paid once a week, but if you want, I believe they will pay you daily if you're a big shop and you're selling a lot of stuff. So they pay fast. So that's nice. The other thing that I really like is I'm not tied up while I'm selling. I'm not sitting at a table for 12 hours selling nothing. If I'm selling nothing, I can be at home doing something else. And that's my preference. So I like that. And they handle the things like, collecting the payments, the sales tax. So they get the right sales tax, depending on some of these states, it's like 10%, like Washington, or they collect it, they know what it is, and they get it to the state. So you don't have to worry about that. And you don't have to worry about getting not paid because they collect the money and they have the money and they're going to pay you. And that all happens before you even ship it. So that I really appreciate that. And then they have really excellent tools for listing, managing your shop. Etsy is run by computer programmers, and they have some really excellent computer programmers. They do terrific work. I don't think there are any people that work there, but they have some awesome algorithms. Okay, next. So that gets us into the cons. Heavy competition. So you're going to be in a saturated niche. There are a lot of people selling wood turnings. on Etsy. So you got a lot of competition that you're up against, saturated niches, no matter what your product is. Also, you're a very small fish in the Etsy world, and they treat you like it. So they could care less if you quit selling on Etsy. They don't care if they tick you off, they chase you away, they shut you down. They just don't care because there's a million of you out there. So you just have to be able to accept that they're going to treat you like the small fish that you are. It's Etsy's marketplace. It's not your business. You don't have a business. If you have a website of your own, now you have a business. But if you're selling on Etsy, it's Etsy's business. You are just selling through them. It's their business and they set the rules and they do whatever they want. And if you don't like it, you leave. Yes. Oh, okay. I thought there was a question. So seller support is if AI can handle it, you're golden. If AI can't handle it, you're out of luck. You're not going to get any support. You're not going to get any help. They're not going to answer your questions unless AI can do it.
Is there a phone number?
Oh, phone number. You got to be kidding. I already told you there's no people that work there. It's just computers. It's a room full of computers and a couple of executives. No, actually, they do have support. You can submit something online. In my experience, I'll submit something and I'll get an answer in milliseconds, which tells me that it's a computer answering it. Yeah, and if it'll say something like, "Well, go look at the handbook," or it's like, "Well, I looked in the handbook. If that answered my question, I would be okay. I'm asking you because it's not in the handbook." So, and they're very heavy-handed. They do whatever they want. And as a seller, you have very little recourse. So when I first started, I didn't know what I was doing. Somebody local bought something, and I tried to make it a local delivery. Well, there's no way on Etsy to do a local delivery. It's only shipping through a shipper that will give a tracking number. They want a tracking number because they don't want any fraud. They don't want you to sell something and not ever deliver the product. So before they pay you, they're going to make sure you got a tracking number. Well, I tried to fake something out, local delivery. Well, what they did is they put my shop on a payment hold. So that meant that for the next 6 months, I think it was, they held all my payments for at least 45 days. And even at that, at 45 days, I only got part of my payment. So they were hanging on to my funds in case I was a fraudulent, fly by night kind of a guy. And eventually, after about 6 months, they graciously removed my payment hold. But they will do that. The other thing they did is they took one of my listings down because they said it was not a handmade item. Well, this came from a tree that I cut down, that I turned by hand. I took the pictures, I wrote the description. I tried to create a case to contest it 3 different times. Each case was denied in milliseconds. So there's just nothing you can do. That's part of the deal. Okay. Last slide. So selling your work. Here's a photo of Greg and Mary and Randy selling their work at German Fest. Randy's got the little German hat on. So I thought that was kind of cool. So any questions before I turn it over to Tony? Yeah. Ask Greg.
Attorney, I want to make sure would say, you never keep the audience around well.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Go.
Where is the point of using Etsy wrong websites?
So you can do that. They will provide a website for you. They will. You pay for it. So they encourage you to have your own website. They also encourage you to sell like at a craft fair or an art show because they will facilitate a Square account for you. And they're going to take a piece of everything. Like you can I buy my shipping labels through Etsy and you get a discount, but you know that they're taking a piece of the discount too. But yeah, they get a piece of everything. So they would encourage you to do that. Tony has a website, so he can talk to that. I don't, but they do not. They're not opposed to it. They're in favor of it. So, okay. And there was a question back. Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that, so you can give the potential buyers get a chance to ask some questions.
So they have a messaging system. So it says, you know, message the maker, so they can send you a like a text message, if you will. It goes into your, you know, you have an inbox. It's more like an email, I guess. Not too many, but some. I get, you know, people that will ask me questions. I get people like saying, if I buy two, can I get a deal? Um, I had one person say, I like that thing. Can you make a lid for it? And I thought for sure that there's a lot of scams. So you have to be on your toes. People trying to scam you. I've had people saying, "Oh, I'm from Chicago. I'm going to be in Milwaukee, and you know, can I come by and visit your shop?" And so you're going to get all kind of weird things. But the guy that asked me to make a lid, I thought, well, this is a scam. But I thought, well, it'll take me 10 minutes to make this lid, and I made it. And he actually bought it, but it took like a month. He went away for 3 weeks, and I thought, well, okay, I thought it was a scam, but no, he eventually came back and bought it. So, yeah, Lee.
Just wanted to say that, like word of mouth kind of thing. Like I don't do it here, whatever. I still work, maybe when I'm in town. Anyway, but like if you belong to other clubs or organizations or church or whatever that does like raffle baskets or anything like that, or any kind of raffles, donate bowls or whatever to the raffle, and then put like a little card in there, saying, "Isn't this pretty? Wouldn't you like some more of these for your family and friends for Christmas or whatever?"
I know. Come on up. You're up.
That's just, my curling club does raffles for all the competitions we have, and I've actually, got
Well, anyways, that's.
all employed to do.
Files not.
So it's all right. It's 8:30. We need to cut this off. So it's all right. No problem. No, I'm serious. No,
Go ahead, I think that's fine.
you do. No file.
Well, it's
What service, what
So
shipping?
I created this.
Like, senior, yes, or is there one service? Ship something, stay away from FedEx.
Yeah. So the shipping section on Etsy gives you the choice of Postal Service, FedEx, or UPS, and you can see the prices. So you put in the size of your box and the weight, and it will tell you what the price is to ship it. And usually for my stuff, the Postal Service is the cheapest. But you can also use something like Pirate Ship, which is what Tony uses. So you don't have to you buy a label, you print it, put it on your package, take it to the post office. It's that easy. So Tony, go ahead.
All right.
I'm done.
Let's do this as quickly as we can. Pirate Ship. You mentioned Pirate Ship. Pirate Ship is almost always the same price as Etsy shipping. I only use Pirate Ship, and we'll talk about where some of my sales come from. So let's talk about motivation. Anita Rosendahl, circa 2007. What are you going to do with all this stuff laying around here? So I started selling. Let's go, Greg. The mindset for doing selling, it's a different mindset. So if you start thinking about what can I do that will sell versus what can I do to stretch my creativity and enjoy myself, and some of that will come up. So I've sold in the following places: craft fairs, Etsy, Facebook, no more. And that's not true. I realized I still do sell on Facebook, but personal website. I've done some private custom work. People find out you have wood lathe and want a finial fixed on this or that or the other thing. I have done a gallery one time in Google Maps, just last Saturday, 11 o'clock. Are you Opus Pins? First time it ever happened, probably never happen again. Some guy found me on Google's Maps and knocked on my door. I've been on Etsy since 2010. I've done about 500 orders, over 25,000 sales. The biggest years of 2021. Biggest sellers now are Pendants and Acorn boxes. Pepper mills are steady, bowls are steady, lidded boxes and jars. People say, how do you make money selling a pen on Etsy? The way you make money selling a pen on Etsy is you set your price based on your inputs and don't worry about what the other, and then not just pens, but everything. You set your price based on inputs and don't worry about what other people's prices. If you turn out a quality product, you start getting good reviews, your business will come. It won't be steady. It's up and down. And if you do start an account, don't get panicky if you don't sell something in the first 3 days. Let's go. All right, there's now a $40 charge to set to start a shop. I already made the next point. For me, shipping in the USA is predictable enough. I know what my costs are going to be, so I build it into the price and include it. And I spend a lot of time. The time taken in Etsy, I think I spend as much time taking photos and editing them as I do making the product. Probably not, but it sure feels like it sometimes. Craft fairs, I did craft fairs from 2008 through 2023. I never claimed to do an art fair. I call them craft fairs. And on bad days, I call them crap fairs, like the other people. What did I sell? I sold pens, I sold lidded boxes, bowls, natural edge bowls, yarn bowls, especially at the quilt shows. Mushrooms, there's a reason the stars there, snowman figurines, keychains, and so forth. The starred items, craft fair items that are quick and easy and repetitive. And that's how you make money at a craft fair. You don't make money at a craft fair by building some $3,000 art project. You make money by doing the same thing over until you get tired, and then you make some more. So when you get done with that, you can turn out a mushroom. I'll show you a picture of them, and I never hit them with ceiling paper. And sold them time after time. Mushrooms, $3 a piece, 2 for $5, and they paid my craft fair booth over and over and over again. Next. When I started, you could find a decent craft fair for about $40. The good ones are now pushing 100 or more, 100, 120. When I started, I thought $100 a day was pretty good. When I got done, I wouldn't go back anymore if it wasn't at least $800. I took credit cards. I'm a fan of Square. There are some other alternatives now. Let's go. One time I tried sharing booth with another MAWT member. He's not a member anymore, so I can say this. I don't recommend it. If you're used to doing them yourself, trying to share a booth just does not work. Unlike George, I highly recommend you use tax number. It costs $10 and they refund the $10. It is not a big deal to get a tax number. It is a big deal if the auditor walks through that craft fair, sees you hand a $1,000 piece over to somebody and wants to know where it is $50. Okay? Now let's go back to that just a bit. Speaking of taxes, for me personally, I do a Schedule C. You can be a limited liability corporation, doesn't cost that much. But again, Uncle Sam has eyes everywhere. So you do what's right for you. I pay taxes. Besides, I wouldn't be able to appreciate the tractor if I didn't. And you can lose money. You can lose money on your Schedule C. And it comes off with the Social Security and all the other stuff. Keeps trickling across my desk. Okay, for a 10 by 10 booth, I would use 3 2x6 foldable resin tables. I take a PVC pipe and I raise the table up to about this height, and then I have fitted tablecloths. And let's go to the next slide. Okay, so that's what my booth would look like. Those are foldable bleachers, and I'm in a gym down at Lake Geneva, and that's what my booth would look like. This was a silk tablecloth here. Picked it out, and I'm going, does she really want to make that out of silk? And she got, I think it cost her $75 when they got to the counter. And my wife's an interesting person. All right, each picture you can kind of see. And so we have this racking here. What George said, elevation is good. Elevation is good. Get your product up. People want to walk in and see your product. They don't want to look at the top of a table that's only 2 feet off the ground. Okay, so And then it just shows I had some shelving that fit the racking, and it doesn't show up. I had a long shelf. And so you can see, like George said, grouped items, bowls here, pepper mills, natural edge, lidded boxes. Next picture. So these are those mushrooms I was talking about. You can crank, time myself, I could make I think the mushroom took me 3 minutes, okay? They're turned between centers, never see a chuck, never see sandpaper. You just put those babies out after you do 40 or 50. You get halfway good at it. Next, and the snowman. Now, my wife was painting these for a while, but again, I had a method where that you can't see it, but there's a 1-inch hole in the bottom of that guy. And so you start between centers, get your basics. You start with a chuck, you drill that 1-inch hole in the bottom, you start to shape him, flip him over, stick him on your 1-inch chuck, and turn the rest of him. The hat's the same way, there's a hole in the hat. I just glued the hat with a snowman. I didn't worry, I never had a single customer complain about the hatch coming off. So the nose is turned and so on and so forth. Okay. Custom work. You guys have a wood lathe, sooner or later you're going to get the question. Here's my suggestion. How do you charge? You have equipment and skills that other people don't have. My suggestion, have a target shop rate and try to make that rate. I'm not going to tell you what your rate should be. Okay, but the Ram dealer is now getting $120 an hour if you're paying him to do something in his. Okay, the Case IH dealer is probably getting $120 or $150 an hour if you have to have that big tractor. So I would, you should probably be trying to make at least $60 an hour because you have costs. So like if somebody wants you to make a table leg, try to have a target shop rate to make that rate. Don't forget about materials if you have to provide them. And then after you develop that shop rate, remember that might be your aunt asking you to do that stuff, so you adjust accordingly. Next slide. That's it. All right, that's all I got. Any questions? You got it. All right.
My question is, Amazon, did you ever ship anything to any place you want to try?
I never have had a shipping issue, so a lot of people like to diss on the U.S. Postal Service. I think they're wonderful. I think for what we pay, they do an unbelievable job.
We're gonna have to cut it. Really. Take these questions up offline because we are out of time. We have to do the wood raffle and we have to be out of here in 10 minutes. Out the door.